As China's lifestyle market emerges with more diverse offerings as well as business opportunities, a growing number of foreign entrepreneurs are seeking to fill in some market gaps. Given the cultural differences, is it difficult to start a business in China as a foreigner?
What inspired you to open a grooming bar?
I was in L'Oreal doing marketing for about 5 years in Singapore, and I was always in the salon industry, and I was really passionate about hair and grooming in particular. So I felt that there is this gap in the market, to have a consistent service as well as good quality service while having fun at the same time. So we saw the gap of meeting the consumer needs. That's why the idea came about, to create a fun place for men and women to come and do their hair and have a drink at the same time. So it's like it makes the environment very relaxing, and it's quite chill. Yeah.
How important is a good hairstyle to a person's overall look?
Okay, hair makes up 70% of the first impression.
Wow, that's that high.
Yeah, so I would say that it's really important. Like if you dress up in a nice suit, even with good makeup, but if you come to a meeting with terrible hair, that's the first thing you will notice. Yeah, but if you come to a meeting and you have this normal clothes, but your hair is awesome, that will be the first thing people will look, because it's always from top down.
And so what motivated you to open a store here in Beijing? What do you see in the city?
We can see that the trends of fitness, healthy eating, and also travel, and also aesthetic grooming developing in Beijing. So when I came here last year in February, I tried out quite a number of hair salons, and I see that there is a gap whereby the services that you offer is not really high, and all the salons feel like they are so hard sell on the membership and telling people to buy their packages, and I felt it's very stifling. So I really think that Global will have a good competitive edge here in terms of the quality of services, offering premium, affordable services while having a good time.
How would you characterize the lifestyle trends here in Beijing?
I think here the
more relaxing, or more varieties than in Singapore, or less?
Less compared to Singapore. I would say the lifestyle evolvement here is picking up, but it's still in the beginning phase. We can see a lot of fitness centers opening, like cycling centers, clean eating, juices and stuff. But these have been very matured in Singapore already for many years. But in Beijing, we see only starting in the last 2 years or 3 years or so. So this is an involvement trend, and also aesthetics. I see that aesthetics is something that is picking up here, whereas in Singapore it's also very mature.
Are there any differences like between Chinese you find here, like Beijing people and people back in Singapore? Like, do you have different standards of to define what is beautiful? Like, do you have different fashion or beauty standards?
Very different, actually. Okay, so Singaporeans are very influenced by the Western culture, a lot by the Western culture. It's a mix of Western and maybe Japanese and Korean, but still a lot more westernized. So they are more focused on, is it more suitable for myself, on individuality. Whereas I see that the trends here of the consumer, they do not have so much of this being defined. So they follow mainly of, this movie star is sporting this look and it's popular right now, so let's go for it. It has to be looking good for me. Yeah, so like, this is the main difference that I see.
The heroines in the South Korea drama or the Hollywood movies.
Yes. And the consumers here, they follow a lot on Korean trends, I find, and Japanese trends in terms of hairstyle and makeup, because they are Asians, right? So they would think that it's very suitable for them. Yeah.
So is it hard to start a business here in China as a foreigner? Have you experienced any cultural shocks?
I find that doing business here is a steep learning curve. I learned a lot about accepting different cultures and working around different cultures to understand Chinese culture, what is the right way to talk. Like Singaporeans are very direct, are known to be very direct and very straightforward in the way we communicate. But Chinese, they talk in circles. They talk for 2 hours and they don't get to the point. They have a lot of small talk, and that is something that it took me a while to get used to it, because we are very used to stating the point, getting the job done, and then moving on to the next thing. But here it's like, maybe you want to talk about a project, but you need to talk for months to even build a relationship and get it done.
Uh-huh.
Yes, so that is a big culture shock for me.
But, like you speak Mandarin, right?
Yes.
Is the Mandarin you learned in Singapore the same thing as the Mandarin here in China?
More or less it's Mandarin, but it's very different in terms of the terms we use. Many of the terms are very different in communication, so there is a lot of miscommunication. So when I first came, I found that although I speak Mandarin, I have a communication problem because people misunderstand what I meant. And I don't speak Mandarin very fluently like the Chinese, and because we speak mainly English in Singapore, there is like the common language we use in business. So in terms of business terms, it's also a new thing for me. So I pick it up along the way as well.
Maybe we use this similar words and phrases, but we use it in different contexts.
Correct. That's correct.
Are you overwhelmed by the different social media softwares here in China? We have
very, very overwhelmed. And I had to learn WeChat and Weibo, which is completely new, and it's very complicated because it has got so many programs and ways of managing an account. So I'm still learning after 1 year. It's still very difficult because there's so many layers, and you really need to understand how to work it, to really use it and utilize it.
How does it feel to be a woman entrepreneur? Do you feel privileged, or do you feel like you are in an inferior position?
I feel privileged. I think we are in a very modern society right now, whereby people understand that women are powerful too. Women can be very capable, and I'm a mother of two. But my family is in Singapore, but I'm here doing my business. So I see myself as being privileged to have the opportunity to even have the support of my family to travel overseas and start up a business here, and to have very reliable Chinese partners who believe in me to invest and do the business here.
And role models like you can empower other girls.
I hope so.
Because starting a business here in China now has become a sort of a trend. Now we are in an era of mass entrepreneurship. So I've visited Singapore for many times, and I found that the Singaporean culture is a very unique blend of different races and traditions, and Chinese culture also plays an important role. So I'm wondering, to what extent has the everyday life of Singaporean people been affected by Chinese culture?
We have a very big population of Chinese in Singapore, and a lot of them come from China. So my ancestors come from China in Fujian as well. So but when they all moved to Singapore, they all developed their own mix of culture as well, because we have Malays, we have Indians, we have Eurasians, we have also many foreign workers who are living in Singapore. So along the way, it has become very Singaporean and become very localized in that way. So we even have our own language called Singlish, which is Singapore English, if you have heard of that.
Never.
Okay, so it's a mix of English with Malay, and also Hokkien and Cantonese all mixed together. Yeah, so it's a very unique blend of English. Yeah.
Do you celebrate Chinese festivals?
Yes, we do. So we celebrate like Spring Festival, Mooncake Festival, Dragon Boat Festival. We celebrate all of these festivals, as well as Qingming. We celebrate all these as well, but we don't get so much of holidays like China, but we do have holidays for Spring Festival.
And so are there festival traditions in Singapore like same way that in China?
For example,
like Mid-Autumn Festival, do you eat mooncake?
Yes, so we eat mooncakes. We don't get holidays for that, but we eat mooncakes. The children will carry lanterns and they will play with lanterns, and we will have the spirit of gifting. We will buy mooncakes for the elders, for business associates, etc.